Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Last Week in Esports. I'm your host, Trainer Jared TV, and yes, I'm still sick. I'm sorry. I'm going to sound nasally for this video. I apologize. But either way, we've got tons to cover this week. We got to talk about the Overwatch League has officially died, at least this iteration. We've got League of Legends update, of course, and the Demon King Faker is back. And we also have Rainbow Six Siege, the Atlanta Major. Plenty to talk about. Let's dive right into it.
Faker, what was that?
Cloud9 are your E-League Major champions!
This is Rocket League!
We've touched on it before, but for people whose first time it is being here or hearing this news, the Overwatch League is pretty much dead. So over a month ago, the Overwatch League, or OWL, announced that they were going to be pausing this iteration of the Overwatch League so that they can work on improvements for the future. As y'all know, Overwatch 2 has been released, and OWL kind of died with it. It's been struggling since its inception anyway, and since they franchised it and all that mess. But their plan is to reiterate it for the future and, make some improvements, which is definitely needed. But with this death of the Overwatch League as it stands, there have been a lot of notable teams that have, dropped their Overwatch teams, which makes sense, right? I mean, they're not competing in anything, and that's a lot of money to pay for professional players. Either way, some notable ones: Houston Outlaws, San Francisco Shock, the Toronto Defiant, all dropped their teams. Again, understandable. Sucks for the players. I mean, it really does, but this happens. Something I do think is worth mentioning, though, is that Activision Blizzard, who own Overwatch, is now going to be owned by Microsoft, right? That's been the subject of a lot of news recently. Well, with these teams, 20 of the Overwatch League teams, leaving the league because the league is dying, Activision Blizzard is paying them out, giving them some money, and that money is $6 million a team, which adds up when there's 20 teams, $120 million. That's a pretty big payout. I mean, the teams did pay more than that for franchising and the players and the time in the esport. But a nice little influx of $6 million back is nice for the teams, though parting with 120 if you're Microsoft is a lot. I am sorry, W7M, I was not familiar with your game. These guys have been on crack recently, it seems, as W7M have won their second major in a row, and it looks like their dynasty is going to continue. Also, for those who don't know, like me before talking about this, like the top 3 teams in Rainbow Six Siege are all Brazilian. I'm not sure if I'm misreading something, because that seems really odd to me. But you have W7M, you have Los, and then you have FaZe, which FaZe, I guess, has an all-Brazilian roster. They all dominated the Rainbow Six Siege Invitational this weekend, or the major that was in Atlanta. And production was actually kind of amazing. For a Rainbow Six Siege event, I feel like there has to be good production to keep up the pace of the game compared to other esports, at least in my opinion. And I think this one actually went relatively well. It was funny, the cast was great, the gameplay was obviously fantastic, but it was a very well-produced event. The prize pool was $750,000, I believe, with W7M taking a little over $200,000. So big shout out to all the team, big shout out to the production. Again, Rainbow Six Siege kind of slept on in the esports scene, in my opinion. Their numbers aren't fantastic, but I think they're really stepping in the right direction to make this esport into more of a mainstream esport. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. Faker is back, baby. The Demon King has returned. We had 2 phenomenal series this weekend, depending on who you pull for, in the semifinals. We had WBG played BLG. Series went to 5. It was fantastic. In the end, the Shy and WBG scrape out a win, and they are going to be headed to the finals. They are going to the finals to play against the T1 and Faker. T1 had an amazing series against tournament favorite JDG to halt their golden road. Faker even had an unbelievably, now I'm going to call it iconic quote, since JDG was on the path to performing what's called the golden road in League of Legends. Faker then said, "All roads lead to me," and then backed it up with his gameplay as they stomped tournament favorites JDG 3-1. The tournament finals will be played next week, November 19th, and it will be T1 versus Weibo Gaming. Honestly, if you're not a League of Legends fan, this event is still worth watching. It's amazing. League of Legends does esports right. It's a major production. There's going to be tons of fanfare, an amazing introduction. New Jeans is performing. It's a serious event. Please go watch it, or at least watch a VOD of it the next day, because for us Americans, it's at like 2 a.m., if not 3 a.m. So keep an eye on that. It's going to be amazing. I know I'm wearing Gen G, but T1's always had my heart. T1's my favorite org. I'm sick and bundled up. But listen, T1, you got this. I know the Shy has got a lot of news around him now because caedral won't shut up about him. T1 is winning this. T1's got it. Vote for him. Go do your pick'ems. Go lock it in. T1's winning. Mark my words. Now back to a segment we actually haven't had in a while called Let Me Cook, because I've got something to talk about today. And I think it's something that I've brought up before, but maybe not dived too in depth on. But I want to talk about how inherently wrong it is to compare Western teams to Eastern teams, especially in League of Legends. The LCS and the LEC have obviously grown. They've got better talent than ever. They've got better production. I mean, it is a fantastic esports ecosystem for the West. Let's look at the East. The esports scene permeates society. Okay? In Korea, China, esports actually mean things there. Those people are celebrities. If I saw, some of these LCS players walking down the street, I don't know them. When these people arrived at airports in China, in Japan, in Korea, and etc., the fans are there. It's crazy. There's a ton of fanfare understood and happening in these Eastern countries because of the environment that's been built. But outside of that, let's talk about really what the difference is. We have practice, right? And that is in the terms of like solo queue, where outside of your scrimmaging, you go into solo queue and you play against other good players. That means something when your players are actually good. In the East, they solo queue and they are the best players in the world. So they're getting practice against the best players in the world. When you're in the West and you're queuing in solo queue, you're getting stream sniped, you're getting griefed, and even if you do match up into other notable players, they're still second-rate players to players in the East. Now, that sounds like an excuse, but I think it's a reasonable one. If I'm practicing against Bush League teams, I'm never going to be as good as a MLB team, Scrims are also included. If I'm an LCS team like Cloud9, scrimming some of the crappy teams in LCS, how do I ever improve? It's like Cloud9's always had this issue, or they've had it for the last few years, where they're just obviously the number one team in North America, and they clown on the rest of the league. But it can't translate internationally when players are outmatched in every single role, except maybe the ADC role if we're talking about Cloud9. But realistically, we're outscaled in every single role. We have the best jungler in North America. We have the best ADC in North America. We have probably the best top laner in North America. But it doesn't matter when the skill level at these roles, it is leaps and bounds when it's compared to the East. Okay, the Shy, Bin, 369 can run circles around Fudge even if he practiced 18 hours a day. Baker, Chovy, Yagao run circles around any mid laner. The ADCs in the East are the best players in the world right now. It's not fair to compare these scenes. And yet people get so upset when teams in the West can't compete. They're never going to. I don't see a Western team doing well for another decade. Like, no matter what G2 puts together, it would take a miracle draw to even have good teams in the West have a chance to make semifinals. Yes, it's luck. They have to get a good draw and play teams that aren't as good as certain ones. And that's the stark reality of it. And that's hard for some people to stomach. I know this segment's drawing on, but I also want to highlight that some of the formats are just bad. LCS, how many games did they play a split? 15? Wow. BLG played 160 games this split. 160. That's like 10 LCS splits. Yeah, that's totally fair, totally realistic. Like, we can totally expect to compare it to them when we have 6, 15, 20 even maybe competitive games a year, or a split, when BLG plays 160. I'm sorry. If you're getting mad at Western teams for not competing, it's not on them. I agree there is a little bit of onus that maybe they should practice more. And there's off cases where players aren't doing what they should. But the skill level has never been bigger, and the skill gap has never been bigger. Let's dive into some of the best plays we saw this week coming from the Rainbow Six Siege tournament and the League of Legends World Championship.
Holding out as long as he did, allowing Grixer to get in the position. Rexon does find the final two. Let's just respect this for a second.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Now dominating. Kanavi. A massive mistake. Carrion now going in. The Ruler's untouched. Goes golden and now Ruler looking to take over the fight. Ruler still standing. But Guma's still standing. Guma firing back. Ruler goes down. Guma's just better.
Three in the round. Jane, I know, could have something to say about it. He's going to have to.
No way.
It's 1 versus 3. It's 1 versus 1 after a quick double. And with the time ticking down, there's absolutely no choice. Pino, he has to stick this. Jane, I know, can't get the angle. Can he see him as he comes off that diffuser? Pino uses his experience. He keeps himself down, but he moves his legs out. Jane, I know, spots as much as he needs to.
Weaver's wall coming out, isolating owner. Might go for the 50-50, but it's absolutely Psycho flashes over the arrow. Faker goes in! It's incredibly clean. JDG with the counter punch. Can they get anything back? Ruler untouched on the backside. Dragon still standing, but owner will take that away too. My God, what an engage from T1.
Owner, you magnificent beast!
It is very tough not to have the cleanse.
Dave's on the flank. Dave's on the side. TP coming in. Faker looking to make the flank against Ruler. Owner goes in. And again, the combos are clean. The hostile takeover is damn well hostile. T1 looking to leave no survivors alive. 369 admits the entire team will get absolutely nothing. T1 in the clutch are too damn clean.
As always, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot to have your support and views on this video. However, if you are one of those people that I'm complaining about and let me cook, those people posting on Reddit 24/7 complaining about your rosters, seek help. Seek help. But if you're not one of them, thanks for watching. Hope to see you next week. We'll be covering, obviously, League of Legends World Championship, which again is happening the 19th, and more. So see you then. GG's.